There were
Booyah.
so many times today when I had one for all procced, and then I would get slowed, and the accuracy penalty would make it miss the kill shots.
So the one for all in PvP, is that what? Is that 20% or is it
35%.
Gentlemen,
it's
this might be
super
awkward
quick.
for you to hear, but we are in fact live right now. Like actually right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's sexy.
We're-
I want
I'm
them
never
to hear
going
us
to
talk
explain
about-
what we were talking about. Man, we should begin every episode with a random, like, we're already 5 minutes deep
35%
into a
more blackjack and
conversation.
hookers.
Isn't there a in media res or whatever it is, like there's a storytelling thing there? It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
you just start in the middle of the action. We could do that.
Yeah,
every
we could do
episode.
that. We could be like, and there I was, naked in
Pants
Atlantic
down,
City,
yeah.
yeah, with a hot dog in my mouth or something.
But thankfully, I had a quick draw fell winters, and so it didn't matter that I
Jesus
was in
Christ.
that position.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Skip all that crap. Welcome to Firing Range, a podcast to talk about all things Destiny weapons, abilities, loadouts, and the sandbox at large. And today we are joined by me, Fallout, Super Saiyan Cammy, Merc, and Cool Guy, who has the camera off. Drew will not be here tonight, so we have the cone up in his honor, but we'll catch him next time. Thank you for joining us. We have a fair amount of things to talk about. Cool Guy, you're there, right? I just want to make sure that you're there.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just looking at his dank logo. You moving away from the brown there, buddy?
No.
It's looking kind of tight, that black logo. I'm not gonna lie.
Appreciate that. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll start a poll or something
I
like
kind
that.
of like it, dude. Then again, I like all my shirts are black. Okay, we have plenty to talk about. Why don't we? What the hell were we talking about when we came in? Do you want to just dive in with a quick draw shotgun talk because we're already on it? We have other things to talk about, but right when we fired up the episode, we were literally having like a talk, the four of us, about quick draw shotguns. Do you want to do it now while it's
Sure.
fresh on the mind of everybody?
We can do it now.
Do it. We'll do it live. I don't care.
Yeah, so quick draw and shotguns.
Merc has to start off.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
We gotta let him go.
It's canon.
I was just saying, I had a fantastic discussion with Physics today on Twitter. Shout out to him, by the way. Super respectful. It was a very good discussion. But the point of it was we were talking about quick draw and shotguns and whether or not it's a good thing that allows for highly skilled players to make even more impressive plays, or whether, like I believe, it's something that, although it does do that in some instances, I think that it is more of a get out of jail free card for people who are caught with their pants down in a poor situation with the wrong weapon out, potentially flat-footed. It allows them to instant swap to a gun, which does crazy damage out to crazy distances and basically evaporate people. And my closing argument was basically that, like, I understand what it does at a high level, but a majority of players aren't using it like that. A majority of players are using it in such a way to where it allows them to escape from bad positioning and bad plays. And I didn't personally like that. I said, I don't feel that I think quick draw should be removed off of every shotgun. I think, rapid fires, lightweights could probably stand to keep having it, but I don't think a shotgun should be able to hit max kill distance and also have lightning fast handling. I thought that was just too much.
I'm somewhere in the middle of that. I see both sides in the sense that for a high skill player, it lets you be uncapped. So if you can physically switch faster than the other person, you're going to win with that damage combo. But it changes the balance of the game. You no longer have to think of the shotgun in isolation. You got to think of 90 damage of a 120 plus a quick swap to the shotgun and then back to the 120 before it's even 120 RPM. And yes, you can sprint cancel that fast. And it does happen.
I think that was the exact argument I had seen from True Vanguard on Twitter, Merc, where he's talking about how he doesn't want quick draw available only on the ag frame shotguns, right? Because like they're designed to be hit really hard, hit really deep, but the drawback on that is that they're a little bit clunky, right? Like they're not uber snappy. It's like you have to kind of plan that long, powerful one-hit shot. And your point is that right now people are using them like, oh, I'm just going to run into a situation. It's kind of actually like the same reason that I loathe the hunter dodge, which you can pretty much carve that on my tombstone at this point. Like, I just think that the hunter dodge is like the best ability in D2 because you can run into engagements, and if it's too hot, you're just like, oh, you just dodge right out, bro. Like just cartwheel out of the room, charges back in 10 seconds, and the dodge breaks aim assist, and you can Bakras teleport and all that. So I do see the point that it can be used as a get out of jail free card. I don't know if I want it gone though. I'm thinking about that right now. I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, someone posted on Twitter. They actually had a really good suggestion. They said you should swap quick draw only on aggressives and like the high impacts with a perk that is similar to smoothbore, where it gives you that lightning fast swap time, but it blows your spread out only when it's active, not all the time, but like only when it's active, right? So if you quick swap over to it, your spread's going to be super wide. So you can use it, but there's a trade-off to it. And that's the reason why I only have an issue with quick draw, and I don't have an issue with using an exotic. I don't have an issue with speccing into it dexterity. Like I have a lot less issues of the other ways you can get. And people say this, like, who cares about quick draw? I can get that same fast ready speed using this other combination of X. And I'm like, sure you can. And that's a huge fucking investment that you just put in right there. Like I'm sure you can equal.
Like the Ophidian aspect. Like you're wasting, well, not wasting, you're spending
or simply just
on
taking
exotic
off stompies to put on Dragon Shot. That's a big difference that you take away the movement.
And I'm totally okay with that. But when quick draw is sitting in a slot where there's very little that you're giving up to get it, there's almost no trade-off to having it. And you're getting just basically you're taking the one flaw that those high impact shotguns really have, and you're or one of two flaws, I guess the other being the slow rate of fire, and you're basically entirely negating it, and you're making it to where you can, and I was explaining this to someone else, like there's good positioning, there's bad positioning, there's good plays and there's bad plays. And just because you make a good player, you have good positioning, doesn't mean you're guaranteed to win an engagement, right? But it gives you an advantage. And what quick draw does is if you put yourself in a bad position or you make a bad play, it takes away a lot of the drawback of doing that. You can basically walk around a corner with your primary out, get caught with your pants down, and just boom, quick draw, Fellwinter's 9-meter kill range. Like it's I don't know. It doesn't sit right to me.
I feel
at least
that.
As far as I'm seeing it be used.
I'm once again torn between you making a really good point and me wanting to neuter my own fun factor in PvP. Yeah, that's a good point. What were you saying about the smoothbore things? You're telling me if there was some kind of like quick draw beta version where you whip out your gun. And are you saying that the whole time while you're whipping it out, the pellet spread is like wide and bad, and then over time it like tightens?
Yeah, so
as
basically
the quick draw
like,
factor goes away, like
it doesn't even necessarily have to be that much. Like say you have quick draw for 1.5 seconds after swapping into your shotgun, you have a super wide pellet spread. And then not even super wide, like,
okay,
because I know
wider.
Everybody's gonna say pellet spread, RNG, annoying as shit. I'm 100% in agreement with that. Like I would love a uniform pellet spread across the board for
wouldn't
shotguns.
we all?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like it's just a slightly wider pellet spread than it normally would be. Maybe it shaves 2 meters off the 9-meter 1-hit kill range. It brings it down to 7, which is closer to like a standard lightweight or something like that, right? And that's the trade-off that you get. And then, a 1.5 or 2 seconds after you've swapped it goes back to its normal size. So it's not a permanent penalty.
Temporary penalty to make sure that you can't whip out a Fellwinter and then 9-meter some biatch downtown immediately.
Yeah, or you can't do nearly as much chip damage on them if they're pushing you from 15 meters or something like that, right? Like it's just something to give you. It's like, okay, you can still use this for a last minute absolute panic, like when someone is in your face within melee range. Okay, but you're not going to be able to turn the corner, with your hand cannon out looking at the ceiling, and then someone's pre-charging a fusion from 10 meters away, and you just swap and kill them, which is what happens a fair amount right now.
Why not basically a backup plan for shotguns?
Sure.
Like
backup plan for shotguns.
It'll almost half your range essentially.
Right.
But they can still have
kind of like trench barrel.
Bad thought.
Yeah.
And, the upsides.
A big part of that combo too, we're forgetting, especially like the hand cannon shoddy switch. Both those weapons have Icarus as well most of the time, right?
True, yeah.
That's a big part of it. And let's not kid ourselves. It's been going on in Destiny for a long time. I mean, like the majority of the player base is just a fight to get within 10 meters from each other, right? Seriously.
I have been, dude, I was tearing on the stream the other day, repeating. I was like, dude, Cool Guy has this new mantra, and like, I couldn't agree more with it. It's hilarious. It's
like, you know, people bring out their shotgun and like you'll catch them, right? So there's a sneak slide to some cover, and like they'll still have it out. Like they're still trying to maneuver to you to try to get that shotgun kill.
You randomly get so passionate about like the most odd things. Like you're like we were literally testing some stuff in a private lobby the other night, and he's like, dude, I swear, Fallout, I swear, these players these days, they will do anything to avoid getting into a primary fight. Their only goal,
tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
Only goal is to get within 10 meters of you, to shotgun you or hit you with some kind of
the whole build is built on that.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel Destiny is a better game when it's more primary focused, less ability
100%.
based, less like literally trying to run and hug each other. But
right.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they could do to it all. I mean, I've seen various different
maps have a little bit
things.
to do with it too.
Maps as well.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the ported D1 maps are they're smaller for whatever reason. Right?
Yeah.
Rested Lands, Asylum, they're all smaller than they were in D1. And that just kind of adds on to it.
I put fear in lobbies with QuickDRAW. They see the like hand cannon, shotgun, 120 RPM swaps, and they're like, nope, not dealing with that. Not going in close quarters anymore. Witherhoard's actually been the best answer for that. I just shoot it at my feet, and then it's like, you know, spraying holy water on people, like, be gone. Or like, no shotguns here.
They stomp you out of it, which actually is another thing that was on a similar vein of this, is that, like Cool Guy said, people will do a lot to avoid primary fights. And when they get into a primary fight, the last thing they want to do is like have a paced primary battle, right? Like, let me spam shots as quickly as I can. Like, I noticed this the other day. I was watching someone who's like a top, 100 trials player, and they're a hunter with stompies and a 120, which is exactly what you expect, right? There's nothing to be surprised.
Playing to win, that's the best.
But I was watching them, their primary shot is they're taking 6 120 shots to kill someone, right? And they're bouncing off the ceiling and they're bouncing sideways and they're doing all this stuff. And I'm like watching their reticle, and they're not even aiming at the player's head. Like, they're just aiming center mass of the player and just spamming shots. And they're literally foregoing. This happened in Halo Reach too, right? So it's not something that's exclusive to Destiny players. But at a certain level, you basically forego accuracy for shot spam, and you hope that you can make the other person miss enough shots to where you can basically max rate of fire shot spam and kill them with bodies and hopefully a couple crits like mixed in there, right? Like, at a certain level of player, that's what they're doing. They are bouncing off the ceiling with an Icarus 120 hand cannon and stompies, and they are just spamming shots at the other player. And like, I could have counted on one hand in 7 games the amount of times they got a 3-tap with a 120, right? Which to me is like insane. And this is a top 100 trials player that I'm watching. I'm just like, this is the crazy shit. But the thing is nobody hits them 4 times before they hit the other person 4 times. And to me, that's just disappointing to see, because I've always been someone who's very much valued accuracy and like having a good shot and having a good paced primary shot where you're able to get the optimal TTK. And instead what I'm seeing is, fuck the optimal. Like, if I stomp you off the ceiling, you can't hit me with the optimal anyway, so I'll probably spam bodies on you. And that happened in Halo Reach with the DMR. They said, because of Bloom, we're not going to pace our shots. We're just going to spam shots at max Bloom.
Yep.
And hopefully my RNG works out a little bit better than your RNG does.
I don't think you intended that story to come off that way, but it's actually kind of a very hopeful story to people out there with terrible weapon aim. It's like, look, man, if you master movement, if you master situational awareness and team communication, you too can be a
It's funny that that's exactly how it went down on Stadia. I couldn't shoot the broadside of a barn, but somehow, we
made it work, dude.
You're just inching closer to that 10 meters. That's all you got to do, man. Just keep
going.
bro.
Get him in 10 meters. And then the Arc Buddy does everything for me.
That's right.
Oh, man. Do we all, like, I'm so horrified of the hateful tweets I might get. Like, they want to take QuickDRAW away from our shotguns. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just, Mercules, you ever watched My Cousin Vinny? You've never watched My Cousin Vinny? Oh,
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, Mercules.
You have homework, first of all.
Dude, I don't know if you're making me feel like you're bad at watching movies or if I'm old. Dude, Joe Pesci. Come on, man. The great Joe Pesci.
Does it look like a clown to you, huh?
Is I'm gonna say I'm not 100% sure who Joe Pesci is. Is that
okay?
is he in, is he in,
Now you're
no,
trolling.
no.
Okay.
Is he in Goodfellas?
You're actually trolling.
Is he in Goodfellas? Because
Come
if he's
on,
in
Mark.
Goodfellas, then I kind of know who he is. Other than that, I don't have any clue who you're talking about. If that's not who it is, is he in Goodfellas? He's one of the Italian guys in Goodfellas, right?
Yeah, he's in Goodfellas.
Okay, so then yeah, see, I know who
All right, you know who Joe Pesci is.
Yeah, I just haven't seen any other movies with him in it.
Dude, he is great. Yeah, he's a lawyer kind of in training, trying to get his cousin off a murder case, and he's like one of those, like, you know, starts off terrible, but he finds his own way, right? And he brings up a lot of good points, but by then the judge doesn't like him, so he brings up a really good objection in court, and the judge, I can't remember the judge's name, but he played Herman Munster. He's like the, I don't know, really old guy. He's like, that is a well thought, well constructed, well presented, excellent objection. And Joe Pesci's like, thank you, overruled. Sounds like, so Merc, you bring up a lot of good points here about QuickDRAW maybe getting a little change on the ag frame. I don't know if I'd agree with it or if I'd be happy about it, but you know, on paper, it does make a lot of sense. You make a lot of good points. And there has to be some kind of problem, right? When you look at, like, here are the shotguns that people are using in PvP. It's like ag frame, and then like everything else, right? Like in a perfect world, all the top PvP players that I know are rolling with ag frame shotguns. With
I just have to ask myself, what is more fun? What is more skillful? Is skillful fun? And then do I put more weight into the strategy that comes with having the right weapon out at the right time, or the mechanical skill of quick instant swapping between two different weapons nonstop?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think this is one of those things where I would like to hear from the people who listen to our show. Like, if you have a thought on how you feel about QuickDRAW, if you're able to eloquently form constructive feedback that doesn't involve like pissing your pants with an angry opinion, yeah, let me know. I'd love to hear what you think about QuickDRAW and all that garbage on shotguns, because I think a lot of people would agree that shotguns, well-rolled shotguns, are pretty damn good in PvP right now. That's what I think.
Chat said that Joe Pesci was one of the wet bandits in Home Alone.
He is.
So now I do know who
he
is. Yeah. Now I very distinctly know who he is. So.
Formerly the wet bandits, now the sticky bandits, as I last but let's move on. We got other stuff to talk about. Bungie hit us with a twab the other week, talking about 2 heavily underperforming weapon perks that are being changed. I'll give a quick read of ye old twab of what they wanted to do with these 2 perks. Let me whip this open real quick. Okay, so they're talking about 2 perks for adept weapons, both obtained through trials and through Grandmaster Nightfalls. So their goal was to give players a tangible reward to aspire towards, with custom visuals and a unique name, letting them flex a little bit. They wanted to give players who'd earned an adept weapon a minor power boost and some gameplay customization options in the form of the improved masterwork getting +3 to all other stats and the ability to equip adept mods. They do not make players who can't earn these weapons feel like they can't compete with players who have them. Meaning, like, they want adept weapons to fall into that very thin, window of, like, good. It feels unique. It feels a little extra, but not like meta crushingly extra. And while they had good intentions with Celerity and Bottomless Grief, they admitted that they kind of effed up. So they're mentioning here, for performance reasons, we have a maximum number of perks that can run on a character at a time, which is not something that I was aware of. Legendary weapons have a threshold per weapon, and many of them are right at the limit. Adding a perk on top of that, without taking one away, quote, causes bad things to happen in the form of random perks turning off potentially. So it sounds like a limit with the code. Adding a new perk column to weapons from a specific source introduces power creep, and pretty soon we would end up having to do the same to weapons from other sources. Adding a perk column only to adept weapons would work against the third goal of an adept weapon and we believe we would feel bad for players dying to adept weapons that are able to stack celerity with other things like outlaw, yada yada. So that was their intention with adept weapons and why they can't make celerity like, oh, turn it on forever type thing. So here are the changes they are making both to celerity and bottomless grief. Starting with bottomless grief. They're going to change it in season 14, which is the very next season, to permanently grant an active plus 30 to your magazine, meaning 30 to the inventory size of the magazine. That doesn't mean that your weapon is going to get 30 extra bullets in the mag. Bottomless Grief is now a fixed alternate perk in the left column on adept drops of Nightfall weapons, meaning that you can randomly switch between that and whatever your other randomly rolled perk is. And the same thing for celerity. They're going to change it in season 14 to grant a permanently active 20 to both reload and handling, and they're going to make it a fixed alternate perk, meaning if you want to, you can toggle that on or off between that or whatever random perk you get in the left-hand column of your gun. Boys, who has any thoughts on those changes?
Huge.
Like half my adept weapons have celerity, so I'm pretty
You're pretty thrilled about it?
Yeah, and my
what I'm
future
most
rolls
thrilled
too.
about is it makes getting the other perks easier because those are out of the pool essentially.
Yeah, that is a good point,
Yeah.
actually. I was thinking about that. Like, if you have a weapon that can drop with, 6 perks in the left column, you're really hunting that one perk. I mean, you just went from 1 out of 6 to 1 out of 5, right? So, like, you're making your odds a little bit better of getting that
And
god roll that you're hunting
Considering how
down.
much I went for palindrome and I only saw out of the entire week 1 quick draw rangefinder, yeah, it's gonna help.
Yeah, definitely will. Do you care more about the change to celerity or about the change to bottomless grief?
Celerity makes a difference in PvP.
I would agree. Yeah.
Bottomless grief
makes a
though
difference
kind
in
of
PvE.
I
It's
was about to
extended
say
mag.
that it does.
Yeah.
That's the same bonus that extended mag gives without
Which means you can
penalty.
change the mod. Instead of extended, you can go big ones and then do more damage.
Yeah, true. True.
Or reload and sort of get the free outlaw. Because you notice in GMs, you're not really getting kills. So kill active perks aren't as good.
Large mags are good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that celerity handling bonus is a game changer. It can change some weapons with certain mod combos and barrel combos to be near max handling, if not max. So unlike the ISOL sniper, you can have the equivalent of quick draw and snapshot. I think that's nuts.
That's kind of neat. Yeah, that's not bad, actually.
You can keep your Icarus too. You don't have to go for the handling.
What are you taking off? You're taking off Vorpal, opening shot.
Vorpal or opening shot, yeah. But in my opinion, for M&K sniping, I think the handling is what you want anyway. Because it's not about having the highest aim assisted shot. It's about just getting a shot off in the first place.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, taking off Vorpal could take away a little bit of the utility of why you're rocking that sniper to begin with, if your goal is to take out a roaming super. But the change, if you were to take Vorpal away in exchange for the new perk, then if you're looking for that hot neutral game sniper, that sounds really good to me.
And it's not even just neutral game, because if anyone's ever going to make a 1v3, it's going to be the snipe.
Yeah, for sure.
When that perk is lit up, you're going to notice the difference. It's a lot of aim assist.
It's super nice when the adepts come back. I mean, in the second perk node for ISL, there's only 4 perks and 1 celerity, and that's going to be locked in. So your second perk is going to be box breathing, Vorpal, or opening shot,
which you can swap between, which makes it even better if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, a super comes out. Oh, let me just change that to Vorpal. Kind of like Bellwinter's.
Not bad. Do you think that's going to make people change? How do you think this is going to affect like the average player? Do you think people are going to grind more for, trials and or Nightfall's weapons? Less, more, or about the same? Do you think it's going to
I think slightly more.
The average player can't get flawless, so it doesn't really matter one way or the other.
What about the Grandmaster Nightfall though? I think more average players could probably beat a Grandmaster Nightfall than go flawless in trials.
I mean, it's not going to hurt, right? Like, it can't hurt. The perks are objectively better, and the system is now objectively better. I don't know that these weapons were ever enough to like at least not for me personally. Like I wasn't like, hooray, adept weapons! Like I can't wait to get myself an adept weapon. It was kind of like, oh, that's nice. Like it's another shot at a weapon that I already want. So if I get a second one, but I mean, I don't know. To me, they've just never been like something that it's not like raid weapons, right? Like raid weapons, I'll look at the list of raid weapons and I will like target some and I'm like, I want these guns.
Yeah.
And I see that at Palindrome and I see that at Messenger and stuff, but there's very little additional draw for me to get an adept version. The adept mods are neat, but some of them have trade-offs that are seemingly just unnecessary to me. And then the stat bonus of like +3 to each stat just isn't enough to really get me worked up over a gun. Like if I had a great roll on a messenger that wasn't adept and then I got a slightly worse roll on the adept messenger, I wouldn't use the adept messenger. I don't think. I think I would just use the better roll on my normal gun.
This is interesting to me. So how much grinding did you do of the proving ground to get an adept palindrome?
I got one my first run.
And then you just tapped out?
Yeah.
What was
I got a normal one and I got an adept one and I got quick draw thresh, I think, on the adept one. So
You probably hated it at first.
That'll
You
be-
kept it because it was your only adept. and then
I
you're like,
have actually,
"Yes."
in fairness, I have actually been keeping thresh rolls for PvE. So I wasn't like entirely upset. I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's not bad, right? Like at least it'll
Gotcha.
feel pretty good. And then I heard the thresh works in PvP and I was like,
Yeah,
Alright.
Fallout should mention that next in
We
a good
are,
reading voice.
yeah, we are jumping ahead to that in very shortly. But yeah, it's interesting. Merc, how often do you grind? We're kind of jumping over to a little bit of a different topic here, but like, so am I understanding you correctly that you think, you know, adept versions of weapons are neat, but you're not directly targeting them because maybe they're not worth the. You might consider them worth it if they were to cross paths with what you were grinding for already, but like you don't think they're worth the extra mile, maybe?
I'm looking at it like it is a second opportunity to get a gun that, like, you know, say messengers at 3 rolls, messengers at flawless, right? I'm looking
Yeah.
at it like, yay, a second chance to get messenger. I'm not looking at it like, God, I hope I get a great roll on the adept version, not the normal version. Right? Like, I don't really care which one has the great roll. Like, I'm just going to use whichever one has a better roll. And if it's the adept one, then good. Like, that's nice. I'll get, you know, an extra couple 3 stats. But like on messenger, I'm not really using one of the adept mods anyway. So it's like, to me, there's almost no difference at all.
Fair.
So, which I understand because, like they said, they didn't want to make it to where adept guns were so good that if you didn't get them, you felt like you couldn't compete against them, which I entirely understand. But like, this is just me personally. But like, if they gave me, and I know it has like a different shader, right? But like, if they
Right.
gave me an ornament for messenger at flawless, I would be more motivated to grind that than I would the adept weapon. Like the adept weapon just me personally, it doesn't really tick the boxes of like, I want to grind for that. It's just a nice bonus if I happen to get one.
Fair. I feel that's very interesting hearing that feedback. I don't know what it is about me with adept. Like I just maybe it's the weapon hoarder in me.
Yeah, I can't get enough of it either.
The gear completionist in me. Like I'm just I'm like a, what's that dragon's name from The Hobbit? Smaug.
Smog.
Smog. The Smaug. The Benedict whatever his name is. Benedict Cumberbatch dragon, sitting on that big old pile of gold adept weapons. I don't know. I like the chase. I think you are totally spot on that a lot of adept weapon mods are just kind of silly. Like they give you one thing, but like they hurt the weapon in another way. We're like, well, why would I do that?
Oh, like the magazine. The magazine's the most ridiculous one.
Like,
Adept mag.
what
Why?
does it take away? I can't remember.
Handling.
It takes away your
Handling.
like big.
But I started
time,
using
dude.
it on quick draw guns. I was like, this is nice.
But there are other adept mods that I'm like, oh, that's really good. Like the adept Icarus mod is pretty tight. I think that's kind of cool. And I just like having the extra customization. Like if I wanted to take my hammer and be like, you know what? Want a little more stability on that bad boy. Make it more stable. That's what I want. I like the extra, the customizability factor. It's kind of what I'm feeling. But it doesn't always shake out that way, you know.
I think I also probably represent, and this is rare on this podcast because of who we are, but I think I actually represent like the more average player a little bit more
I would agree with
than
that.
you guys do.
Yeah.
Like I don't go flawless 5+ times every weekend. Like I don't clear 25 grandmasters in a week, right? Like I mostly play solo. I mostly play with no mic. So for me to get a group together, even though obviously I could do it much more easily, that's just not personally the way I enjoy playing, right? So I'll go flawless once in a weekend, like with a group of people that I enjoy, and I'm like, okay, that was that. And like to me, there have been times in Destiny's history where rewards have motivated me to do activities that I wouldn't normally do, like Grandmaster Nightfalls, like going flawless in trials. And they have motivated me to do it as many times as I could. And adept weapons are not that reward. I basically will do it the normal number of times that I would do it. And if I get it, it's a happy bonus. If I don't, I really don't care. Like I don't feel like it makes enough of a difference to me. You know, things that would, like even a freaking I mean ornaments, right? Like stuff that I can use to like show off and things like that. I know technically when you kill someone with an adept weapon, it says like the adept version killed you.
Yeah.
Right. But like say if I kill someone with an adept weapon and like they explode in confetti and there's like cheers, like Grunt Birthday Party from Halo, like I would be in trials until my freaking eyes were bleeding to get that or something like that, which doesn't affect the gameplay at all. And it's just purely a bragging thing. But to me, if the difference is so minute that it basically is only going to make a difference to min maxers, then I'm not going to subject myself to an experience that I don't find to be extraordinarily fun to get it.
That's very fair. And I think Bungie would probably be happy to hear that. They're like, oh, good. Well, that means we nailed it, because that means that...
That does sound like they nailed it, because I'm over here just like, I hate 140s. I dislike the palindrome. It might be good one day. This Nightfall is sick, though. Let's keep running it.
Let's keep grinding. And then they don't want to make it so painfully much better than the normal version, because then people like Merc would be like, well, F me, dude. Like, I can't get the rich get richer, baby.
I hear it all the time.
And yeah, Merc, I do really appreciate that feedback, because I would agree that you are the more traditional, regular gamer, not like us freaking weirdos. We're like, me, cool guy, and Cammy, we chose violence for a career here. Like, we wake up every day and do this crazy crap.
We told mom to make some pizza rolls, like we're going in.
Every day, bro. But yeah, okay, good feedback. Let's move on to something that we mentioned in the middle of that convo. Thresh. Man, that really threw a wrench into my week. I was just, I thought I had all my content planned out. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, phone starts vibrating up an earthquake over here on my freaking desk. And got like 100 people are tagging me in a tweet from DMG, better known as Dylan over at Bungie, who just casually mentions, oh yeah, by the way, Thresh works in PvP now. Whoops, forgot to mention something in the patch notes. It's like, what the fuck did he just say?
Right? I got a story on behalf of Drew, probably. He would probably say this.
Do share.
So we are toiling away at this Grandmaster Nightfall that kicks everyone's ass on day one.
Yeah.
There are some people convinced that this is the hardest Nightfall ever, that it's the worst experience ever, and we're just grinding away. We picked a pretty safe strat that would work no matter what Nightfall it is, because we went in blind. So a couple hours of refining this strat, and as we start getting it down, we're in the boss room, and the champions teleport into us. And we pull off this magical clutch, win it, and as the chest is spawning, I say something along the lines of, and for all that hard work, we're gonna get Thresh. And Drew's like, and of course, all three of us got Thresh out of the chest.
Oh, wow.
And we instantly deleted it. We're like, all that work for Thresh. Ew.
Yeah, so if you're completely not getting what's going on at home, maybe you'll learn something here. When Thresh weapon perk came out, it came out with Beyond Light, right? Was it with the launch of Beyond Light?
Something like that.
I think it was. I think it came out with stasis and all that crap. Thresh, the weapon perk where you get additional super energy for each kill acquired with a weapon with Thresh. I had seen a lot of people talking about it when it first came out, being like, oh, big recommendation. I was like, well, you know me, I'm really anal about that kind of stuff. So I was like, well, I want to know how much it gives me. Went into a private lobby, did tons of testing, and I'm talking like frame by frame, trying to measure the exact amount given by Thresh, and came to the conclusion that it gave you nothing, literally nothing. The data was frame to frame identical weapon with Thresh compared to a weapon with no Thresh. So I put out a video that kind of blew up that was like, yeah, the problem with Thresh is that it doesn't fucking work. And like overnight, everyone was just like, the word got out, yeah, Thresh is garbage. Just like, who cares? Delete Thresh. And that made sense to me and everybody else because Bungie was never vocal about it. As far as you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Like if Bungie had ever mentioned like, oh, by the way, we're aware of the situation with Thresh, that like maybe it should be working in PvP, it's not, we'll like give you a timeline. But people had convinced me that if you look at the description of the perk, it says something like combatants or whatever. And
right, that made me think Minions of the Darkness. Same thing. I just thought it was never supposed to work there in PvP.
People were like, but like people were aggressively telling me that like it's never meant that Fallout. Like every time you see a perk with the word combatants, it's never meant that. It's never gonna work in PvP. It's designed as a PvE only perk. I'm like, yeah, like okay, cool. So yeah, and Bungie never commented on it as far as I know. And oh man, can you imagine the amount of planning and hype that would have been going on? Like, because I'm sure when y'all found out that Thresh had been turned on for PvP, you probably did what I did. You probably whipped open Dim and like typed in Thresh, what do I have, to see what I could actually maybe take advantage of with a new build. But for the longest time, I deleted like 4 Adept Palindromes with Thresh on it. Good ones, too. I think one of them had Ricochet on it. And yeah, overnight, I feel like, I mean, I'd love to get all of your opinions on this, because I'm sure you know the numbers behind Thresh. But it's sort of like a fairly potentially meta-changing sandbox update there that just kind of got thrown out of left field. I'm actually really interested to see how Trials is going to play out this weekend, which is the first weekend ever with Thresh being turned on. Now, Merc might be... was that a head shake there? Potentially head shake?
I mean, I am disappointed that it does work in PvP now, because I hate supers more than I hate anything else in this game at this current point in time.
Me too.
And
Yeah.
anything that promotes more super usage in PvP just makes me shake my head, because it's like, I've said this is probably like the 20th time I said this on this podcast, but literally everything in the game is weaker than it was in D1, except for supers, which are more than twice as powerful as they ever were in D1. And to me, that just blows my mind that this is the point in time we are in the sandbox where primaries are weaker, specials are weaker, abilities are weaker, like melees and grenades, and supers are still lasting. Like, we're happy that Behemoth is where it's at right now. And Behemoth would be the most game-breaking strong super in D1. And we're like happy that it's only as good as it is.
Behemoth is only 25 seconds now at 50% damage resist. Yeah. Oh, thank Christ.
In D1, it was like we had a handful of roaming supers and they were very strong. And then we had a bunch of one-off supers, which meant you had a bunch of panic button wins. And in D2, it's swapped to be the other way around, where we have a few one-off supers and a ton of roaming supers. And just, I hate that like a third way through the match part, where it's like, I'll die once to a super, and then I'll spawn, and then I'll die a second time to a super, and then I'll spawn, and I'll die a third time to a super. And this happens really badly in Iron Banner too. But it's just like, I don't enjoy it, man. Like, it really frustrates me. And so to have Thresh work now in PvP, it's just like,
you should have left it
like
off.
The last thing. Yeah. Like, I thought that was just the way it was supposed to be. Like, it just works in PvE, because this would be a stupid perk to have work in PvP. And they're like, but what if?
I'm glad you said it, Merc.
But what if it did, though? Yeah. People... I'm glad that a lot of my followers kind of understand the nature of the beast, of sharing the innermost workings of the game with people who are curious about them, right? And like, some people on Twitter are like, oh, Fallout, you happy about that, huh? You happy about Thresh being turned on in PvP and you getting your super? I'm like, no, definitely not happy about it. The current Trials meta, from my point of view, gentlemen, feel free to disagree, is kind of like an arms race to get whichever team can get their first super. It's one of the reasons why Chaos Reach is so wildly popular in Trials. Both teams will do pretty much whatever they can. Again, I'm going back to the cool guy mantra. Players know no limit. They will do anything to avoid a primary weapon fight, and that will potentially include sitting in the back to charge their super.
See, that's why they turn Thresh on.
In the event that
they use those weapons.
Yeah, but it's not good. Now, in a perfect world, the average player would be like, "Oh yeah, time to go activate Thresh," and stop hanging out at the back of the map. But really, it's gonna be like further camping in trials with like extra Thresh sprinkled on top, right? They're gonna get their super like maybe like 12 seconds faster than the other guy, and it's gonna boil down to the same final result. People going in with 100 intellect, with the Geomag, the Nezarec paired together with Thresh, the Battle Harmony, whatever they got. I don't know if I'm thrilled about the change.
I don't think it'll make that big of a difference in trials, because I've always built a loadout to not require a kill to give me a benefit, if that makes sense.
Cammy, I need to make this very clear. You are not like most people. You are wonderfully unique. And I
respect my opponent. I'm like, they're gonna kill me, so I should probably use a perk that helps me win the fight instead of one that just gives me a bigger win. Pretty winning.
But yeah, if you're just getting the memo now, I have numbers up on self plug. I have numbers up on my YouTube video that talks about Thresh being turned on. And I think Cool Guy actually has a similar video where the Thresh on its own will shave a little extra time off your super meter, pretty much identical to the bonus given by the Warlock Battle Harmony. But Thresh will stack together with Battle Harmony if you put the two of them together, and it will stack even harder with the Nezarec Sin Warlock helmet, provided you are using a void weapon that has Thresh.
Thresh Dala, brother.
Thresh Dala.
Yeah, that is in the bottom dollar.
And Thresh Adept Palindrome.
So real quick side tangent on the Nezarec Sin. I did not know initially that a void weapon kill would give you super energy. I thought it was just abilities.
Dude,
I think it was CammyCakes who had a video on it, and I saw that and I was like, wait, I only use void weapons. I'm not even joking. Everything I use is void, so that's just automatically the best now for me.
Yeah, I thought for it because it says in the thing abilities. I'm like, oh, okay, grenade, melee, rift, whatever. Just didn't think they would include everything under that
I use
umbrella.
Fighting Lion. I use bottom dollar because I don't like trials and I don't care to flex an igneous hammer. Yeah, and then the frozen orbit is also void. So there you go.
There you go.
I don't even have to have Thresh. Just charge it with Nezarec.
Mind if I talk for a sec?
Yeah, let's go.
Talk as long as you want.
I know you did the video. I saw it. It was good.
No, so I'm gonna go back to Battle Harmony. They turned that on. So when I played Trials, obviously I'm a Cloud Strike main, and Arc with Arc, Battle Harmony, I'm on Chaos Reach. I'm ready to go. We went through that card, dude, and only 2 enemies, not 2 teams, 2 enemies even used their super against us because I mopped them before they could. I was getting my super. I had it 3 times twice. Most of the time I had 2, but it's all a snowball, right? Now, after the weekend, it's cool and all. I'm just not sure how I feel about that, and that's just the Cloud Strike Battle Harmony interaction. Because the tracers are coming, and you're getting, because I got multiple double kills with Cloud Strike. That's all. It's a big chunk of energy that it gives you. What do you do all that with Battle Harmony?
Yeah.
Now, when you add Thresh on top of that, I think Thresh by itself, giving the 2 seconds, not good. I think ultimately it's the stacking with the subs. I was using Doomfangs.
Yeah.
And because remember, a lot of things give you super energy. Even when your teammates cap a zone C on the other side of the map, you get a small super bump on that. So I was in a game, it was 30 seconds. I had half my super with Doomfang because I had somebody with a shield bash and got a double with my bottom dollar with Thresh. Right. So as long as you're adding it on to other parts of a sub, it works great. But just Thresh by itself, you might as well you need to build around it if you're going for a super build, because otherwise, on your bottom dollar, you would want Rampage, you would want Opening Shot.
I'm glad you brought up bottom dollar because that's the exact example I was gonna say. Thresh isn't getting me a super faster because Rampage is letting me kill the whole team.
Yeah,
It's a
you
good
need
thing
to
to keep in
combine
the-
for
yeah.
that the whole theory to work, and the
Right.
like the ways that we can combine, especially with Nedsen, it's borderline broken. Like it
I
really is.
I feel
Nez
like there's
working
going
with
to be a
Super
lot of
changed it
people.
from something in the middle of the pack for me to one of the best now.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, yeah, on its own, it's not tremendously noticeable, the buff, because again, it's at tier 10, which most people in trials are running, intellect, only going to shave off 2. But then you begin to pair it with other things, and then you're really pushing that build of I want my super immediately.
Oh, and with Shadebinder too, I'm starting to get really crafty with freezing people.
Whisper of
And
Bonds.
specifically choosing what I get the killing blow with the frozen target. So I always try to proc a kill clip or something, and now I'm just ending it with a void weapon, so that I'm guaranteed Nezarec energy.
Yeah, dude. Hey, I was
yeah.
running like that's a big one because Whisper of Bonds is you get more super energy after killing a frozen opponent with a weapon. Well, if that weapon is a
Oh,
thresh
God.
weapon, if it's a void one with Nedsen, like that's 3 ways.
Dude,
that you're getting a super bump.
I didn't even think of that.
Wait, isn't there like a sidearm perk too?
Timestamp my
look this
video
up.
for the Shadebinders.
Oh, God.
Wait, sidearm.
A sidearm perk for super energy on
Are you sure? Here,
Are you-
hold on.
No, are you thinking
Sneak
surprise attack? Or are you thinking
or
the charge of
surprise
light?
attack? Yeah.
no,
I
I'm
think-
saying an
No?
ice fragment that is something sidearm kills equal more super energy.
on a fragment?
Yeah.
I
I don't think
don't
so.
know about that. I'm trying to
Let's
quickly
search
look
real quick.
on
I
the
believe-
Destiny,
search real quick, bro. I'm on
fragments.
light.gg right now trying
I believe
to
the
see what they
freezing one
got.
is Bonds.
Whisper of Bonds. Yeah, defeating frozen targets grants you super energy. Good lord. That takes away your intellect though. And your discipline. That's a costly mod there, cool guy. Meaning you'd have to go tier 11 intellect to get brought down to a 10.
What is Whisper of Bonds? Defeating a frozen
Defeating
target with
frozen
weapon
target
grants you
gives you-
super energy.
Yeah.
Is that the sidearm one?
No, that's with any weapon.
That's with any weapon. Literally, I don't know where you're getting the sidearm thing
No,
from.
maybe I am confusing it with that. Might be.
Yeah. So you get that freeze, and then boom, like you're in there, bro. Wow.
I might start running that.
Yeah, so like if you run like the Pally,
Just laughing
Or-
at Merc sitting here.
just so everybody
shaking his
knows,
head.
Merc is actually shaking his head right now. We're just gonna have fun with our builds, Merc. Okay. Just gonna try to have a little fun over
I
here.
don't
Now,
judge you guys having fun with your builds. I judge Bungie for allowing you to craft these builds in the first place with stuff that
Yeah,
to me is
Like,
like really
Fallout said, it's an
obviously-
arms race. It's just us versus
Yeah.
the other person racing to not play the game.
so but like that's kind of the cool part on the other end, Merc, in my opinion, because like if you buy into Thresh, like that's a completely different build that you can go for. Right? Completely different. Just go into all that. Meanwhile, like as Cam said, I mean, if I'm two-tapping people with my Rampage bottom dollar, who cares, right? Who cares about the siphon energy? Because that's giving, I mean, a double kill is going to give you more just period.
I feel like Rampage also ends up being more useful in trials anyway, because a lot of the times I am going to have to 2v1 someone who just got a res, and Rampage is a free 2-tap.
I mean, and let's remember Rose, when Rose came out, like Rose had Outlaw on it and it was like the best hand cannon in the game, right? So like you don't necessarily need an opening shot. You don't need a Rampage, but yeah, they're nice. But if you're substituting Thresh, buying into a build, it works. I think it 100% works. Like I said, I mean, I got a super in a minute, 25 seconds with Chaos Reach, dude. Like
we were Dude, we were literally, so when the tweet came out, Cool Guy and I are testing in a private lobby and we're talking in Discord, and he's like, yo, Fallout, you need footage, bro? I'm like,
Okay,
I'm
y'all
like-
are gonna laugh.
I'm like, what are you doing?
I pulled up Destiny and
Yeah.
I looked at the Whisper of Bonds, and the reason that I thought it was sidearm is because the little picture has a small sidearm on it.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah, it does. It has a little
that's
sidearm
funny.
symbol, so I thought sidearm. Man, that changes everything. I was like, man, that would make me use a sidearm maybe in PvE. Nope,
That'd be very
it's just
funny.
any weapon. I'm just gonna use that now. Done.
Yeah, I mean,
You
at
might
least,
be able to get a quick shade binder off that.
at least it's Chaos Reach for the
I
most
gotta-
part that is promoting, and it's not like Dawnblade or something that's quite as fast, right? Like,
Sure, sure.
I know that eventually it will be, and you guys will perfect your builds where you're getting a Dawnblade in like a minute and 45 seconds, and then I'll really just like stop playing for a period of time. But
dude, like if you check out my video, I got a Dawn in a minute 50, and I got a Shadebinder in 220. Like it can happen, bro.
Like Merc, my record is
Yeah.
40 seconds.
The future is here.
The 40 seconds, they actually nerfed
Good
Monte Carlo
God.
because you could loop it with Doomfang.
yeah, I use Monte Carlo and Doomfang a lot
Mm.
on my Sentinel. That was one of the only things that got me to play a Sentinel for a period of time. But I mean, it is what it is. They've clearly decided that supers are the most fun thing for, and again, this is what happens when you balance a game middle out, right? Like, supers are really fun for the average player and for the casual player, and like it's fun to feel like a Mario god for a little bit and to hit your win button, and it's really fun when that win button lasts for 25 seconds and allows you to kill 7 players. But
I want them to take a survey about Shadebinder. How does Shadebinder make you feel when you can't use that on the streamer anymore?
yeah. And now Shanebinder's got the infinite glitch where it lasts forever too, so they can even use it on console indefinitely, which is
Oh wow, yeah. I don't pop the Shadebinder super. I want them to know that I could have counter popped, but I just
Wait.
used my neutral game.
Merc, what did you just say?
yeah. There's some infinite super glitch with Shadebinder right now. Again,
Oh, I think I had actually seen a tweet. You know what? I'm not going to talk about that because
Someone could have an infinite super at like the halfway point of a match, and I wouldn't blink an eye. I wouldn't even seem out of place.
but the problem is, it's cool guy getting it in a minute and 50 seconds into the match, and then he's got it for the next 8 minutes the entire time.
Oh Lord. I
I'd
mean,
be like, wow, they got a lot of supers. Not that's the same super.
I think like the biggest, I don't know, it's Chaos Reach, dude. Chaos Reach, especially dying in said Chaos Reach and keeping said energy. Like I've always had an issue with that.
yeah.
I'm cool with the cancel, and I'm cool they nerfed the cancel. I'm not cool with like especially in trials and it's round 2. I'm like, okay, you ran into a wall for a second. I know you have your super, cool. But if I dome him mid beam, like I hate that he starts off with a third of his super coming back.
That's
The next
pretty
round, I
garbage.
hate that, dude. It's like it's a constant battle.
Yeah.
Same with the Titan Smash that like leaps in the air, or the Behemoth mid pop. But my biggest thing with Chaos Reach is the piercing. I hate being clearly behind a wall in another zip code and still dying to it.
Yeah, it's got that little AoE around the beam to where it's like even if the beam is outside the corner of
It's
the
like
wall,
that
you're
was
too
a
close
bad
to it.
pop, my dude. You did not deserve that kill.
Yeah.
They're just playing Kovacs, dude, just dotting every pixel up with it.
Well, MNK Chaos Reach is also like night and day. I was playing Stadia, and I was the only MNK player on that whole platform. And when I was on Reach, it was different. It hits different. You
Do
sweep
we-
the whole screen.
Do we want to quickly talk about that, Cammy?
The Stadia
the-
experience,
Yeah.
if you'll allow me to indulge, that is where
Oh,
I'm officially playing
please.
Trials.
Hell yeah, brother.
First of all, the Stadia
Mark, you gotta
crowd,
join us, bro.
super nice, super sweet, man.
They are terrific. I gotta
great.
give it up. I literally thought people were being like, Fallout, you gotta try out Stadia. I thought they were just like trolling me, or maybe some of them were, because I mean, like, it's like kind of like to most people in the community, it's viewed as kind of like a joke platform, like not a real place where people go to play. But and then someone was like, Fallout, I will remind you that you can't cheat there. And I was like,
Yeah, the fact that you can't cheat there, it makes Stadia the salty spittoon, and everywhere else Winnie Hut Juniors.
Or DDoS.
yeah, no DDoSing and no cheating. There's something so freeing about
Pure.
being able to go into so pure about being able to go into a game of Trials and like no worry at all. Like if you see the enemy team has a weird loadout, like if I'm on Steam and we're fighting a team and like the other players have like blue weapons, I'm like, okay, either we're about to punch their lights out or the game's going to be over in 30 seconds because they're going to snipe me through a wall.
And it's also like almost like super competitive MLG. It's like, all right, there's no cheating, there's no DDoSing. Everyone has just a little bit of latency. Go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the latency makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
On Steam, I despise sniper rifles. If I see red glint, I automatically assume they're good at the game and just I don't peek it. And since I'm not peeking it, nothing happens. And that's the game. On Stadia, I see red glint, I'm like, they have latency. I can win this.
Yeah.
It was really, really funny. I've played there with Cool Guy. I've played there with Aries, a few other people, and then I brought Cammy in because I was like, I gotta bring Cammy in. And I was kind of wondering, actually, Cammy, like how you would react to the resolution and the potential latency. And it was like one of my favorite days of ever playing Trials that day, that we went on like the hard win streak. You were so scientific about it. You were like, like normal players would be like, oh, this is whack, bro. Like I aim, like my internet's not perfect. So like I aimed and there was like a touch of latency right there. But Cammy was like so scientific. He's like, He's like, what kind of? He's like typing up.
I made a different tier list for Stadia, right? Like
he's like, I need to make a
latency,
Stadia weapon tier list.
I had a different build ready, man. Okay, so I went in, I tried everything under the sun, but what I initially picked ended up being the best, and that was Arc Souls, right? The Arc Soul Gauntlets, the Getaway Artist.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to aim for this to be good. And the second thing was Witherhoard, which I also don't have to aim for it to do its zoning job.
Man.
And so it's place Witherhoard, make it so that their shotgun doesn't work anymore, and then just slide out and challenge them with a primary. And as long as I land some shots, the Arc Soul will allow for a 2-tap.
He's like,
but if I totally miss, it's still damage.
He's so big-brained. It was like, you know, that what is it like in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Like in the land in the land of half-second latency, the man who can win engagements without aiming is king.
And the best part is once they wise up and they're like, we're never challenging him again. I'm playing Chaos Reach, dude. You have to push.
Like, he's so fun to play with, man. Like we're playing
the M&K on Stadia. It's just you whip around the Chaos Reach while everyone is slow turning.
Dude, you won a lot of rounds and games because of the Witherhoard. It was huge. And paired together, I was rocking Glacial Nade, and it was on Burnout, right? And like there were so many rounds that we won because you just littered the top bridge with like Witherhoard, and they're trying to GTFO through library, and I'm like, nope, stay in there. Just throw a Glacier Nade, and they're trapped
Their
inside.
exit's blocked, and they just burn.
So good.
My favorite play in that whole Stadia weekend was there was a good 30 seconds I was 1v3 dueling people with a primary, and they thought for some reason, because I stuck with the primary for 30 seconds, that I didn't have Witherhoard. And once one of them finally got the balls to push up, that's when Witherhoard goes out, and then they slowly got boxed in. One burning each.
And it was really refreshing. The people who messaged us when the games were over, it almost felt like they felt like they were validated, or I don't know how to phrase it, but they were thrilled that people that they knew from the content world were playing on Stadia. They were like, oh my god, dude, it's so cool to see like you and Cool Guy here on Stadia, like great game. Yet like everybody was super nice. It was really just great. No worry of DDoSing, no worry of cheating. I actually had a really good time, and I will be back on Stadia, no joke, because I had a lot of fun.
I want the rocket to come, dude. I want the rocket pretty bad.
Me too. The
All
rocket,
lasting impression, big ones.
Oh, that'd be so good. That
we pulled out the fabled reverse sweep.
Oh, we did.
0-4 to 5-4.
There's dude, and don't be thinking that Stadia is free, by the way. There's a lot of people out there who like the local heroes, like, you know, the local hidden bosses, as I call them. Like a couple of crack teams out there. One of them was going really hard in the paint, very aggressively bagging. We're down 0-4, and then we hit the old 5-4 sweep there. Like, you love to see it, dude. Absolutely love to see it.
And the best part is on Stadia, you can almost guarantee the rematch if you instant queue.
It's true.
So if they bagged and you don't want them to get away with it, you just queue up again.
My favorite part was when, because we were streaming when we played Cammy. I was streaming, you know that, and after a while, people were like, "Oh, it must take you like an hour to find a match," and I was like, "No, there's actually plenty of people here. It takes like 30 seconds to find a game. It's like hardly noticeable." And then after we had been playing for like 2 hours, because like everyone, we kept getting post-game messages like, "Oh, GG, it's so great to see you here," blah blah, and people were coming into chat to talk about like the Stadia experience. And then after like an hour or like 2 hours, like we weren't getting any games every time we queued up, and I was like, I think they're watching us right now. Like I think they're queue dodging right now.
The one team with the goal to search right there. Apparently was like attorney Stadia team or something like that.
Tourney Stadia team.
So once we beat them, I just like jokingly said like I am now the #1 Stadia team.
Cammy's now #1 Stadia player.
It's like Bane with the pink guy, you know, with the arms up.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Classic.
If you are #1 and I beat you, no, I am #1.
Look at me.
Actually, my Arxel is
Look at me.
#1. I'm #2.
I'm the tournament winner now. But anyway, TLDR, it was really fun, and yeah, I'll be back. And shout out to all the homies on Stadia.
Shout out to Stadia. Very, very fair and pure match.
There you go.
No cheating. If you
Just
beat me, you're better.
Just a little bit of input lag. That's a small price to pay.
Hey, but everyone's
no
on
cheating.
the same page though.
Says there you go. The tide is lowered equally for all boats, right?
Perfect balance as it should be.
Yeah, a team loses on Stadia, they say we got to get better to beat the other team.
Fair.
A team loses on Steam, that rhymes. They're like, we need to get better cheats.
Moving on to community questions. Thank you again for hitting us up on Twitter with all those community questions. We love to read them. Here's one from Samuel Moss. Most important trials callouts to say when playing any comp modes.
I got
'Cause
you.
all I do is scream. Hit him up,
The
Cammy.
best one ever is I cannot help helping.
That's actually very true. Yeah.
Those are my favorite 2 callouts.
Yep.
And this real quick, like if you want to get better at callouts, like on my X and over here, that doesn't help, right? But
Over there,
like,
bro. One shot. Right
just
there.
to start get into it, like even like when you're playing solo, right? It could even be 6v6. In your mind, just recognize the character, Titan, Warlock, Hunter, and then damage numbers, right? Because as you're playing, like that's a huge call out. Like we talk about library and burnout. Like if you start landing shots, 90. Right?
Oh, dude,
So
I
just-
love doing that. Yeah, the damage number
like
call out.
when you
Yeah.
start calling out, I mean, if there's 3 hunters, if there's 3 revenants, like you start going by shaders, green hunter, orange hunter, whatever it is. But every damage or however much damage you do, call it out. Like 156
yeah.
body, like our
Because even if like because
that helps tremendously.
Because filthy no talent shotgun apes like me know that if an enemy has even a hair of damage taken on them, if we enter a Fellwinter 1v1, statistically, I am more likely to win the fight because I can get the one-hit kill finisher deeper, further away than he can. He has to get much closer to get the one hit. Even if they have like 20, 30 damage, you're pushing my kill range up by like half a meter to a full meter. You know what I mean? So like any damage number at all. Like I'll be playing with Cool Guy or whoever, and like, you know, most people use 120s these days. And it's like
body.
one headshot. Yeah, I just call out like 50, or I'll call out like 90, or like if 2 headshots, you know, you don't have to call out 180. Just be like a 2 headshots. Like he's absolute. You know what I mean? Or 1 shot. So I love calling out the specific damage number of how much I'm doing, because like, and then people like Cammy who like got so many numbers up here where it's like, oh, if he's using a particular type of primary or sniper or whatever, he'll know like how much. He's like, oh, that's a 2-body finisher right there, and like he'll just go challenge because he knows.
I'll
how
aim at
much
their
damage
leg.
I've
I
already
won't even
done.
try the head.
Or a nade away. But like that's in all games. Like even Apex, if you guys are playing Apex, just call out the damage number that you dealt. It helps out everybody tremendously.
It does, yeah,
Character,
a lot.
damage number.
Call out the damage number for And Cammy's point, the can't help is huge, because like sometimes you'll be pushing and making a call out, be like, oh dude, he's library, I'm going in right now, and sometimes you get kind of lost in the moment and you think that your boys are right on your back. You know what I mean? You're going in SWAT team, multiple dudes for the finish, and then it's like you lose the 1v1 and you're like, dude, I called out library, and someone's like, oh well, I was regenerating my health, like I couldn't push in, like I was literally pinned down, or like there's a glacier nade, I couldn't help. Like, so being able, like, I can help, or like helping, or I can't help is kind of huge.
Yeah, it all works in
then
tandem. It'll be like, oh, I put 90 damage in the hunter in library, and if your teammate says cannot help, that means you may have 90 damage on, but if you follow him up, that's a bad play. You wait until your teammate says, I'm there, I'm helping, I have a side angle, I got the exit covered, that kind of thing. Then you commit.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm more of a support player in trials and less of like the lead slayer, less of the person who's likely to get picks, right? So generally I'll follow one of the other 2 players that I'm playing around with, right? And the type of callouts that I like to focus on are are more along the lines of providing them with a little bit more awareness and a little bit more support without them necessarily having to look at the radar, right? So I'll call out locations if I see enemies moving and I know that they're not looking directly at them. Like if we're both looking at the same doorway and I see an enemy in the doorway, I'm not going to call that enemy out, right? But if I know they're looking left and I'm looking right, I'll call when an enemy peeks. I'll tell them like following if I'm following them, right? So they know that I'm behind them. I'll say, hey, if they split off and they run somewhere and I don't follow them, I'll say on your own. So they know that they've gone off by themselves and they don't have support behind them, right? I like to just kind of provide a little bit of awareness so that they don't necessarily have to be glancing up at their radar the entire time trying to figure out where I am. I basically am telling them either, hey, I'm right behind you, we have a numbers advantage, or hey, you know, you are on your own, you're pushing on your own, I'm not going to be near you. So
I like that a lot, Merc. Something I'll say that my Twitch chat makes fun of me for. They're like, wow, Cammy, that's unnecessary info. I'll tell my teammates, aiming.
Dude, I'll take any information. I feel
because the thing is, when I'm aimed down with the sniper scope, I'm aiming for like their toe or some shit, and I don't have a radar up. And if they tell me there's 2 to the left now, I'm gonna get out of the scope because now I know I don't need to aim to the right.
Oh, and another good one that Cammy does a lot is clear comms. That's a really good one too. Like if
you gotta let someone sound whore.
Yeah, like if you're either trying to sound whore or if you get too wrapped up, because we all get wrapped up, right? In a perfect world, we're only giving top tier phase MLG callouts, but like, you know, sometimes you're like, oh god damn it, that bastard like hit me with I hate the bastion or whatever, like, and like you're just kind of getting.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to hear that of the hunter jump and just.
And yeah, you're trying to hear a dodge, you're trying to hear a grenade fizzling out, you're trying to hear it, and so it's just like every now and then it's like. And it's not like it's not meant to be like, yo, will you shut up, Fallout or something. It's just like, yo, clear comms. And then we all kind of, you just bring it down and like you wait for that moment and then you can kind of bring the communication back. But that's a good one too.
But like the game sense comes in too, right? So say it's 3v3, right? And the backers hunter comes for you. They backers pass you, they slow you, right? You should immediately tell your team he used backers on me, but your other teammates know. I mean, there's a 10-second cooldown on that. He doesn't have a dodge. He can't get his dodge back, right? So like that's huge information for 25, 30 seconds that when you see backers, they're not going to be able to do that to you because they already used it.
Yeah, true. That is true. I really think that usually, no matter how you relay it, ideally quicker is better. But like, you know, any kind of information you can relay to your team, they can probably use. So yeah, hopefully you got a good answer in there somewhere. I think that was really good replies on what good callouts we do in PvP. Okay, here's one from Oof Goof Badoof. Now that PvP, me too. Now that PvP and PvE sandboxes can be balanced separately, are there any changes to abilities or perks you would want right now?
Thresh. Going back to PvE only.
Yes.
That would be good. Any others that you think would be good divided between the two halves of the game? I'm trying to think off the top of my head what would potentially be a big problem. Is it bad that I look at it as like, what's problematic in PvP? I don't know. Wardcliff Coil. It's just like the forever exotic power weapon of PvP.
Can I do finishers at the cost of my super bar?
Yeah.
Why would you do a finish? Like if you just
PvP.
He's reloading his Fellwinter. Mash the G key.
I don't understand why we can't do like what is this? Why can't we do finishers in PvP? Right? Like you were able to do assassinations and
like shoot them twice with a 120, right? It's 90-90. 20 damage left. They're red barred. That's when you should be able to proc a finisher with your super.
Yeah, maybe if I'm trying to think of like Halo, right, Merc? Like maybe if you were to do hold down the melee key, and it would only work if the enemy was already absolute and you were like behind them or something like that.
I mean, even if they're just only absolute, like Foe Tracer only activates when they have like 20 HP. If they have 20 HP, like anything is going to kill them at that point. I don't see why I can't do a finisher because it's a risk for me, right? Like they might survive. I might get killed in the middle of the finisher, just like it is in Apex. So it's like, to me, it seems like finishers would be a fun thing to have in PvP. But
the issue is health, right? Everyone should have the same health. Like if there were actual downs in Destiny, I could see it. But we turn into a ghost when we die, right? If I were to drop to my knees and start crawling, asking for revives, that's where I could see finishers coming into play, going and finishing those opponents.
But what about Halo Assassinations? There's no downed Spartans in PvP. You could still do, like, if you get that back whack animation.
It was also a one-hit kill. It was already a one-hit kill.
Right, but I'm saying,
but it only
tune it
activates
down
on people
to
who are weak anyways, right? So you just
I just kind of said that
in Halo you could do a full health back whack.
But that's because you're going to ninja him. You're going to kill him anyways. The assassination was going to kill him no matter what, right? So what I'm saying is, like, if your melee was going to kill them anyways,
that's fair.
Instead of doing the melee animation, if you hold it down, it does an assassination instead. So you'd still have to be in the same range. You'd still have to have killed them anyways. It kind of is like flashy. And the chance is, because you're showing off, you're either going to get killed during it or you're going to embarrass the other person.
But dude, the finisher range in Destiny is pretty absurd. Like, could you imagine someone like, 10 meters away or so?
They could nerf the finisher range for PvP, right? Like, I'm pretty certain they could say it only has like a 5-meter range or something for PvP, and then it wouldn't be super bad because you've already got melees rubber banding you for it. It's not like it'd be any worse than the current like Titan melee, which it's just it's like, you're somewhere within 180 degrees. Okay, I'll punch you. And it's like, I think it'd be funny.
Would be cool.
And plus, would be cool, I mean, imagine the rage you would. Imagine how upset you would make people when you finish them in PvP. It's like doing an emote really when you haven't even killed the person yet. It's the ultimate, and
dude, imagine freezing a behemoth and then doing a finisher on.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be hilarious. Dude, one of my favorite things in Halo ever was when you would catch some guy trying to assassinate your teammate, and then you like snipe him out of it. You know what I mean? And like you literally save your teammate's life, and you're like, "Yeah, that's what you get for trying to be a goddamn show off." Freaking jabroni. Like, if you just gone for the regular bat whack.
And
Halo, the showstopper. Showstopper. Yeah, that was a great medal, dude. Oh, so fun. You got a lot of angry people from that. Good call. I think we totally sidestepped that question.
While we've been talking about the hypothetical finishers, I've been looking at the dim. I can't really see anything that I wish would work.
No. Yeah, nothing is coming to mind outside of Thresh.
Anything that I'm on the fence would just never proc in PvP.
What about the thing we talked about earlier, Chaos Reach? What if the thing where you could keep a little bit of your beam in PvE, right? Keep the little power fantasy going there, but like maybe don't keep the beam. The cancel. If you get picked out of your beam in PvE, we're like, oh, let him keep a little bit of his light. But in PvP, if cool guy rips your dome off while you're in the middle of the beam, you don't get none of that back, bro.
Yeah, that's fair.
That'd be a good one.
And a big thing on screen in Destiny is casting the super. It'll say Fallout cast Chaos Reach. Like, as long as if cast comes on the screen, you should lose your super when you die. It happens with every other class in the game except for Chaos.
Yeah.
Oh, I got one. Separate balance tuning. I want tractor cannon to launch people again. No kill, just launch, just physics.
Total ragdoll. Oh my god, that would be really fun. Wait, where have I been? Does it not do that anymore?
It does damage. It does like 200 damage at 10 meters or something, so it'll kill him.
But you don't want any damage at all.
Yeah, 0 damage, double knockback. Just send him flying.
Knockback. Oh man, I could really get behind that. Yeah, because we already, like, if you want a close range weapon that can kill, like a power exotic, why don't you just go with the Acreus or something like that? Let me ragdoll people around. That would be kind of fun. All right, I'm on board with that one, Cammy. I think I'm on board.
I'll allow it.
Here's a question from Flexion. How do you guys approach... I feel like this is a question for Bungie. How do you guys approach stasis subclass tuning? Specifically after the nerfs, which changes do you see coming to the forefront? Cold Snap Nades, Warlock Titan, Instafreeze comes to mind. I don't know about the other dudes here, but my mentality is always like, what do I see way too much of, right? Like, what am I seeing a ton of out there in the field? and what is the ease of use of being able to abuse that, right? So if you go back to like a classic example, which is the pre-nerf Behemoth Titan Glacial Quake, which is like, how much Glacial Quake are we saying? Oh God, an absolute butt ton. Like everybody and their goddamned mother is running Behemoth in trials, and like they're trying to run 100 intellect, and it's just not difficult at all to get the hang of it and start bashing people into a million ice cubes. So I kind of go with like, what is the problem? And then the next step is like, okay, what would be tolerable, fair and tolerable? That's kind of my mental process. But I mean, none of us are in charge of any of that nonsense. But
I'm in charge, actually, secretly. I've just been doing a shit job so far. Actually, I shouldn't say that. They've actually done a pretty good job recently. I actually like the changes that they've made. It's just taken a little bit longer than I would have liked.
Sure.
I mean, I honestly wouldn't focus a ton on stasis right now. I think that stasis is still very, very strong. But I think it's at a tolerable-ish level where I'm not playing and I'm like, you know, rage smashing my controller into the ground because a behemoth has killed me for the 10th time in the same super, which I was doing before. Shadebinder's tracking is a little nuts, but we already know that, and they already know it too. They've publicly acknowledged it. What I would really like to see is I'd like to see some light subclasses start to be brought up. We're already at a level right now where good light subclasses can compete against the stasis subclasses. And the stasis is a little bit higher, but that's to be expected because of the amount of customization and build specking you can do into stasis subclasses in addition to their strength, right? Like you can multiply some of the stasis subclasses strengths with different whispers and different fragments and stuff like that. You don't really have that ability with the light subclasses right now. So what I would like to see first is I'd like to see some light subclasses brought up. And if they do a couple tuning passes there and stasis is still a bit of an outlier, then okay, then maybe let's revisit stasis. But I mean, you know, there's just a lot of subclasses that really get absolutely no love right now, like Night Stalker, even with Omnioculus or whatever, like the super is just absolute freaking hot garbage. And, you know, Nova Bomb's still pretty lackluster, and I'm just, you know, Gunslinger exists.
Phoenix Knife, of course.
Phoenix Dive is a struggle.
The thing that Cool Guy loves to bring up. Don't worry, Fallout. Warlocks have Phoenix Dive. Don't worry, it's fair. It's fair.
My answer echoes that a little bit. It just depends on what the target balancing goal is. Like, is the strength that they want everything balanced around, is that bottom tree Arcstrider? Or is that current Revenant? Or is that top tree Dawnblade? Depending on that answer, that changes everything around it.
Dude, Cammy, I really don't want this to turn into a 10-minute tangent because we're literally about to end the show. But remember what we were talking about when we were playing Trials with Connie? And either you or Connie came up with the idea for tether. What if you could shoot a tether onto your teammate's body like a teleso, and then they now have the black hole attached to them as they move? So like I could fire a black hole on Merc, and then Merc runs into a battlefield. I'd be like, that would be the most fun super ever.
Stick it on a Backrus, dude, and just let him
let him teleport in. That's huge.
If you do that, please give me instant activation for tether if I don't shoot one of my teammates. Like, please let tether instant activate when it hits the ground. That's the only change I ask for Night Stalker.
I want to hold down the tether, right? Like bow fishing or something. Stick them with the tether, and now they're invincible. Like I'm a goblin. Just charging my teammate. And then when you have two tethers that shoot each other, it's like armor luck.
If you have two tethers that shoot each other, the game just crashes. Like everything just shuts down.
When two Falcon punches collide.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that the Revenant kit is almost there. After the changes, I really like that there's no double freezing on the melees, or the dodge freeze with the shuriken after. Like, it's been life's been a lot more enjoyable. You know, you start combining that with how Behemoth is. Like, I'm not running from Behemoths now. It's great. I'm actually dueling them and out dueling them as it should be.
You're not trapped in there with them. They're trapped in there with you.
That's right. I'm in a phone booth 10 meters in, baby.
To feel like, oh, Behemoth popped, like I have options. I can challenge them, or you know, I can still retreat if I want to, but it's really, really nice to be able to feel like I can kill a Behemoth.
When I'm not playing a meta class, Revenant feels oppressive. I just am always slowed. But the second that I step on top tree Dawnblade and not subscribe to the ground, Revenant's not even an issue anymore.
Well, we are spot on tradition. The time is now over, and we have successfully answered 3 community questions. Round of applause, gentlemen. Round of applause. We did it. They said it couldn't be done.
And we proved them.
No one's laughing now. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to quickly go around the table and let you know where you can find each of us on our own channels and whatnot. Cammy, where can the people find you?
Twitter.com/CammyCakes YT, YouTube.com/CammyCakes Gaming, Twitch.tv/CammyCakes. Thank you.
Beautiful. Merc, where can the people find you?
Twitter at Mercules904. And you can find me on the Destiny Massive Breakdowns podcast, which records tomorrow night and releases whenever I get around to editing it because I'm shit. And it's supposed to release Friday, but the last 2 out of the last 3 weeks it's released Monday. So hopefully Friday, but potentially Monday.
And Cool Guys logo, where can the people find you?
Well, first of all, y'all need to listen to Merc's Massive Breakdown podcast. It's great.
That's true.
I like to think it's not too bad. Thank you.
It's true.
Cool Guy.
That's true.
YouTube, Twitter, Cool Guy Games. Twitch, I am Cool Guy Games.
Attaboy. I'm Fallout. You can find me at youtube.com/FalloutPlays and twitch.tv/FalloutPlays. And Drew isn't here.
Drewsky's channel.
There you go. Is it Drew? It's Drewsky's channel on YouTube.
YouTube and Drewsky's with an S
on Twitch. Right. Go check him out. He's not here. He'll be around next time. Hope he feels better. Thank you very much for joining us. We are Firing Range. We record every other Wednesday, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.
Peace.
And now the omnipresent warning about we are still live, and we're
still live on Twitch.
I can't believe you never watched My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, that's horrific, dude. You had to
Vinny.
think. You had to think about who Joe Pesci was.
I'm not a big whatever.
You're not a movie
movies.
guy. You're not a movie guy.
Really. Nah, I've said before, but like my media taste are super freaking basic. I just like watch blockbusters, and that's pretty much it. Like,
well, that
Fair.
was the blockbuster.
yeah, when I was like
blockbuster.
But
when I was like an infant.
Yeah, it's still a classic, right? I mean, like you probably weren't even born when Star Wars came out, right? You still watch.
I didn't like Star Wars a ton until the prequels, which was when I was a kid. So honestly, yeah, I love the prequels like immensely. I actually didn't know that people didn't like the prequels until I discovered Reddit.
it's over, Anakin.
That's
Yeah.
really.
I actually
funny.
thought
I saw
everybody
Revenge
liked
of
the
the Sith
prequels.
in theaters. That movie that held up.
I don't believe it's been
Revenge of the
25
Sith is pretty
episodes.
I cannot
Also,
believe that. Actually,
I never say this. I actually have a Star Wars podcast as well, which is like a monthly podcast we do for.
Do you really?
If our patrons hit a certain level, which they always do because they're great, but like instead of giving it just to the patrons, we just put it out on the channel for everyone as long as the patrons hit that level.
Wow.
Yeah, so we actually do a Star Wars podcast monthly. We just did A New Hope, and this month is going to be Clone Wars because my buddy just finished watching the Clone Wars series, so we're going to do that.
Real quick, I have noticed that my good friend Ryan, aka Rhythm, is actually streaming Destiny 2, which is very rare. He's been drowning in his work lately, and I think it also might be his birthday, maybe based on his title. So I'm recommending Rhythm. You cannot overrule me.
Okay.
Well, GG's chat.
We vote in this non-democracy in this dictatorship.
I love democracy.
We will
Y'all
still
seen
side with
Godzilla
you.
versus Kong?
Everybody go say hi to my boy Ryan, aka Rhythm.
Oh, Watts just rated
and
us.
Watts rated. Watts, we're taking that love. It's a revolving door.
We're circling it around.
Revolving door, girl. double raid. Now it's twice as thick. Thanks, Watts.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody. Have a great time, and we will catch you next time. Have a good weekend.